homes. On residential real estate, we're joined by Frances Katzen. She's founder of the Katzen team at Douglas Elliman. She typically sells more than $350 million in real estate each year, and over her career has sold more than $3 billion worth. Her focus on New York City, mostly Manhattan. She joins us here in the Bloomberg Interactive Brokers studio. How are you? Welcome back.
Well, Tim, thank you for having me.
How does that bidding process work for people who haven't sold at this level or been involved in these transactions?
Well, if an owner is asking for a pricing, and we go in and we provide our comparative market analysis, and we suggest this, and they suggest that, they're doing it usually to win the bid because it's the highest number, not necessarily the sellable number.
Right.
And I think that accuracy makes money, and I think it depends on the client who will actually say, you know what, I'm not so sure I subscribe to that.
I would imagine in your industry too, in so many industries, it's relationship based, right?
Total.
And
it's
if you
all a relationship based.
right, and if you've been able to say we're going to do this, and you actually do it by giving real numbers in terms of value and moving a property, like stuff like that sticks.
Exactly.
Ultimately,
That's exactly what it comes down to.
But I do think about these like celebrity agents. It becomes a thing.
Awful. It's awful.
Really?
Yeah, it's awful because what it does is it cheapens the actual skill. At the end of the day, it's not just turning a key and making 6% like these sort of shows hype. It does require a certain amount of acumen, and yes, it's the lowest bar of entry. We get that, but to really survive and do it for many decades through every type of market,
right,
you have to actually understand what you're doing and how to twist and change depending on the market you're in. You can't just overprice and hope for the best. You have to know how to get the market to you when it's saturated or there's no bid for it or there's higher interest rates, and how do you get people there? It's very nuanced, actually, to be honest.
How has the settlement from the National Association of Realtors changed your year, changed your business?
Not at all.
What? You said 6%, which surprised me. I thought it was 5%.
Tim,
I thought it was 5%.
Never sell yourself down. Look, to be honest, we're not part of NAR anyway, and we agree.
That's a New York City thing, right?
It's non-New York City thing.
But
we're part of REBNY.
Not being part of New York, not being part of NAR is a New York City thing.
Correct.
Yeah.
And my issue with it is that it was trying to de-incentivize a buyer in a market that already had a hugely inflated interest rate. Why would they want another additional friction cost on top of that that's only going to compound and impact the building's value and the seller's price? Why would I pay more if I've now got to carry more on my back? It de-incentivizes. So while I understand it's a new thing, do you know that nearly every owner has said, let's keep it status quo, thanks. That's what's been going on. It's almost like a quiet revolt.
We should remind everybody, the National Association of Realtors paid $418 million. It was antitrust claims, some other things, and really impacted kind of how real estate professionals do business. And it was a class action, home sellers who were allegedly overcharged by brokers. So you're shaking your head. What?
There's always one. It's like the rental that goes wrong with someone from the state, and we were all penalized.
But you're not penalized because you're not part of the National Association of Realtors. You're
but
part
we still
of
had to
the Real Estate
settle.
Board of New York. Right?
Correct, but
you still had to settle.
Yeah, which is in a way a certain amount of taking blame for something we had no part of. And it takes away what is the standard sort of capitalistic concept of real estate, which is who gets the highest price, drive pricing and value.
Kind of like supply and demand, right?
Total.
All right, what you're willing to pay for something.
Total.
Or sell something for.
Okay. How is business this year, and how's it looking for next year?
Sorry.
No, that's okay. I have to say, last month, ever since 50 basis points drop in October, it has been bonkers.
Seriously?
Seriously bonkers.
Which types of properties?
All of it. Entry market basically got back in because they could offset that ridiculous, rental price of 43% growth. We had 246 contracts signed last month, the third highest in the past decade. And last week, we had 36 contracts signed over 4 million and 15 more than the prior week, and 13 of them were 10 million.
It's all the rate move.
It is. I think it's also an election. It's an election.
Yeah.
When you have an election year, you have sort of a stagnation compounded with a sprinkle of inflation and a little dollop of higher interest rates and, geopolitical nightmares, and you're done for the most part, in my opinion. It was a tough year.
So how's 25 looking?
Very positive. I think the anticipation of additional rate adjustments 4 times throughout the next couple of months over the year, I think will only further. And I also think the capitulation of the sale market drove the value proposition for people to take an edge of 50 basis points off, get back in with the understanding they could refi again ongoing.
20 seconds really quickly. If we don't get all those rate cuts that the Fed we expect, is that going to slow things down?
I don't think it will. I think it'll be status quo, which seems to be on us. I think Citi and Goldman reported good earnings. I think you're going to see that trickle into the marketplace. People want to own equity.
Thank you so much. Thank you for going a lot of places. We really appreciate it.
Wasn't expecting that. Yeah, no
I know,
problem.
but thank you. Frances Katzen, founder of the Katzen team over at Douglas Elliman, joining us right here in our interactive broker studio. We're driving to the close.